When you see a front cover like this from the Daily Mail,
now Labour opens door to giving asylum to 70,000.
This because Labour want to actually start processing asylum seekers rather than leave them languishing in hotels. You have to ask why the Mail, the Express and the Tory party ever thought the Rwanda scheme was a good idea in the first place. Especially with Yvette Cooper putting the final nail in the coffin of the hopeless scheme that Labour thankfully scrapped as soon as they took power. Goodbye, Rwanda scheme.
Mr. Speaker, let me return to the Rwanda Migration and Economic Development Partnership. So 2.5 years after the previous government launched it, I can report it has already cost the British taxpayer £700 million in order to send just 4 volunteers. Those costs include £290 million payments to Rwanda, chartering flights that never took off, detaining hundreds of people and then releasing them, and paying for more than 1,000 civil servants to work on the scheme. A scheme to send 4 people. It is the most shocking waste of taxpayers' money I have ever seen. Looking forward, the costs are set to get worse. Even if the scheme had ever got going, it's clear it would only cover a minority of arrivals. Yet a substantial portion of future costs were fixed costs. For example, the annual direct payments to Rwanda, the contracts for escorts, the staffing in the Home Office, the detention and reception centres and more. So the taxpayer would still have to pay out no matter how few people were relocated. And most shocking of all, over the 6 years of the Migration and Economic Development Partnership forecast, the previous government had planned to spend over £10 billion of taxpayers' money on the scheme. They did not tell Parliament that. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Rwandan government for working with the UK in good faith, because the failure for this policy lies with the previous UK government. It has been a costly con, and the taxpayer has had to pay the price. Let me turn now to the Illegal Migration Act. This law has been in place for a year. We were told it would stop the boats. That has clearly failed. The legal contradictions in the Act are so great they make it unworkable. Indeed, 12 months on, the central duty has not even been enacted. It is also costing the taxpayer billions of pounds. Under Section 9 of the Act, people who arrive can claim asylum and get asylum accommodation. But under Section 30, if they arrive after March 2023 and meet key conditions in the Act, no decision can be taken on their case. They just stay in the asylum system. I have been shocked to discover that the Home Office has effectively stopped making the majority of asylum decisions. Thousands of asylum caseworkers cannot do their proper job, and as a result, the backlog of asylum cases is now going up. It is the most extraordinary policy I have ever seen. We have inherited Asylum Hotel California. People arrive in the asylum system and they never leave. The previous government's policy was effectively an amnesty, and that is the wrong thing to do. And it isn't just bad policy, it's also completely unaffordable. The cost of this indefinitely rising asylum backlog in hotel and accommodation support bills is astronomical. The potential costs of asylum support over the next 4 years, if we continue down this track, could be an eye-watering £30 to £40 billion. That is double the annual police budget for England and Wales. Mr. Speaker, this newly elected government is not prepared to let this chaos continue. So let me turn to the action we are urgently taking to restore some grip to the system, to tackle the chaos and to get costs down. First, I have informed the Rwandan government we will be ending the Migration and Economic Development Partnership. We will save £220 million on further direct payments to Rwanda over the next few years, and we will immediately save up to £750 million that had been put aside by the previous government to cover the MEDP this year. Second, we will invest some of the saved money from the Migration Partnership into a new Border Security Command instead. It will bring together the work of the Border Force, the National Crime Agency, the Small Boats Operational Command, intelligence and security officers. The recruitment has begun for a new commander, and we will put in place additional cross-border officers, investigators, prosecutors, intelligence and security officers, with new counter-terror-style powers against organised immigration crime announced in the King's speech last week. We're immediately increasing UK officers' involvement in Europol and the European Migrant Smuggling Centre. And third, we will replace the Rwanda Migration Partnership with a serious returns and enforcement programme. We have immediately replaced the flight planning for Rwanda with actual flights to return people who have no right to stay to their home countries instead. We're immediately redeploying Home Office staff away from the failed Rwanda partnership and into returns and enforcement to reverse the collapse in removals that has taken place since 2010. And I have tasked the Immigration Enforcement Team with intensifying enforcement activity this summer, targeting illegal working across high-risk sectors. Fourth, we will end the asylum chaos and start taking asylum decisions again so we can clear the backlog and end asylum hotels. The new Border Security, Asylum and Immigration Bill announced in the King's speech will bring in new replacement arrangements, including fast-track decisions and returns to safe countries. But in the meantime, I am laying a statutory instrument which ends the retrospective nature of the Illegal Migration Act provisions so that the Home Office can immediately start clearing cases from after March 2023. Mr. Speaker, making this one simple change will save the taxpayer an estimated £7 billion over the next 10 years.
Click here for James cleverly putting fear of migrants into your soul.